Hey guys, welcome back. It's episode 17 of the 3100 build. Today I'm going to be installing this Wagner Performance dual flow PCV valve. There's a lot of different adjustments on this. I've watched a couple of videos. It's easy to get lost in this. I feel like there's 4 pages of instructions. So they do have like videos online on how to do it, and that's how I figured it out. But there's a bunch of different stuff in here. We got we got this low vacuum spring, just an Allen wrench, some extra body fasteners, some extra spacers for the baffle plate, and then a little screw, and then this little barb fitting down here. So I'm gonna pull this tape off real quick, or this paper or whatever, and that's where that's gonna go. But that's actually just an extra. There's one in there, but you will have to pull it out after. So let me do that real quick. So as you can see, maybe that screw, there's one in there. That's what that is. It's just an extra, but that's where that fitting's gonna go to test your vacuum before you put this all the way in, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But first, what you want to do, get your engine up to temperature, and you want to test your vacuum with this PCV valve off of an intake vacuum. So I'm probably gonna go off of this port. We actually might have to do this one right here. So I'm gonna test that, and then there's a little chart on here. I believe it's on this page. Right here. So based off of your manifold vacuum at idle, whatever it is, it's gonna tell you which tuning mode you want to do. So it'll tell you which spring. So the high vacuum, that already comes in it. The low vacuum is this extra one right here. And then dual flow, that there's another chart. If you go, I think it's this right here. Dual flow, you're gonna go to your engine cubic inch, so mine's 350, so I'll be here, and you're gonna find where your vacuum is, and whatever this turn is at, that's how far you're gonna turn. I believe it is the idle one. Yeah, so idle circuit screw setting. So you have to turn these all both flush down, and then you're gonna pull this, back it out 10, I believe. I'm gonna re-watch the video and re-go over this, but yeah, 10 turns out. So do 10 turns out, and then you're gonna slowly tighten it until the vacuum gauge starts to jump off 0, because you're gonna have the vacuum gauge hooked up to it with that gold barb fitting, that one right there. So I'm gonna test my vacuum right now, and we'll see where we're at, and we'll get started on this part down here. So real quickly, I want to show you why I'm doing this. So as you can see, I got oil all down my manifold, and then I also have a slow leak at the back of the pan. So, and sometimes when I'm driving it, you can smell burning oil. But they have this little chart here, and as you can see, on inadequate, oil smells while driving, I have that. Oil residue on firewall or valve covers, I have mine on my valve covers. And then oil leaks due to excessive crankcase pressure. So, as it does say, it may not be because of the PCV valve, but I do have the other two, so I want to do this anyways. But I have this Tells you if you have excessive too. That's why this is really good, because it's adjustable. So this is perfect for like engines with cams and all that stuff. So because these PCV valves like that I have on it right now, they're good for like stock motors, but this engine has a small cam in it, so it's just playing with everything. So this PCV valve is going to be really good because it's adjustable, and I can tune it specific to this engine, so it allows the perfect amount of flow through it. So I'm going to test this vacuum, we'll see where we're at, and then we'll go off that chart over there. Alright, so I didn't even talk in that last clip. Figured it'd be hard to hear. So, as you saw, it was going right between 10 and 13. So, I had mine hooked straight up to the manifold, and then I just threw a bolt in that line. So, if we go over here to that chart, I believe it's in this one. So many pages. So if we go on that chart, greater than 10, so we'd be in dual flow with high vacuum spring, so we don't have to change that spring in there, that's good. So then we'd go off of this chart right here with the dual flow. I have a 350, so we're gonna have to do from 10 to 14, we're 1.5 turns. So I'm gonna watch the video really quick again, and then just so I got this all set up right, and then I'll come back and explain everything. So that's basically what we're gonna go off of right there though. So I'm gonna get this all set up and I'll get back. All right, so it's actually not that complicated. There's just a lot going on. So you're gonna start here, test your vacuum off your original PCV valve, and then you're gonna go off this chart, and then based off what you get here, if you get low vacuum, you're gonna go through these steps. If you need the high vacuum spring, you're gonna skip this section, because it says this is, if it's necessary to change out the spring, use the following steps. So this is just if you need the low vacuum spring. If not, which I don't, you skip this side, go over here, and then it's going to tell you exactly what to do. If not, you're going to do this one and then come over here. So set the cruise screw counterclockwise until it's flush, which I just did that. The cruise one's right here, so that one's flush. And then I'm going to turn it counterclockwise 10 turns or half above flush. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then the idle screw is what you're gonna do down here, but we're gonna do the cruise circuit screw first, and then we'll go down to that. So I got that all done, and see, I actually didn't even pay attention to this. I was thinking about it because it looked right, but it says valve is set this way when shipped, so before I even turned it in, it was already 10 turns out, but I guess it's better to just check it anyways, just in case it moved. But so I got that done. Now we're gonna go down to the idle and turn the idle screw clockwise until lightly seated, and then use the manifold vacuum reading previously determined, selected the tuning method. So that's when, so we're gonna turn the idle screw until it's lightly seated, and then we're gonna go off of our vacuum reading, which was like 12 or 13. And then we're gonna go down to my cubic inch 350, and then that's when we're gonna turn that. So we're gonna turn that counterclockwise 1.5 turns. So let me do that real quick, and then we'll move down. I'm gonna actually try and set this up. So lightly seated. It's not, you don't want to tighten it down, but you feel it snug up a little bit. So I'm gonna go counterclockwise 1.5 turns. So that's 1.5. So based on that chart, that's where mine should be set. And then we're gonna put that little gold barb fitting down here. So we're gonna take this one out, and then, oh, don't drop that. So we're gonna take this out. Don't lose this. It's very small. So I'm gonna put it in this little cup holder right here so I don't lose that. And then we're gonna put the gold barb fitting in, and then we're gonna put the vacuum gauge on that barb fitting. And then we're gonna put this PCV valve in and take our vacuum reading off of that. And then we're gonna do our adjustment. So let's set that up real quick. So quickly before I install this, you wanna make sure your baffle gap is set right. So it says minimum of a 3/8 inch gap. So what I'm gonna do is measure this, the bottom of the PCV valve, and I'm gonna get that gap length and see how far it's gonna stick down past my manifold. And then I'm gonna set a little wire down there and get that measurement, get a mark on it. And then I'll measure that gap and get an estimate. And if that's not enough, there's these spacers to add more distance. So we'll get that figured out real quick before we put the PCV valve in, just so we got that all figured out, because it does say inadequate clearance can lead to excessive oil consumption. So definitely don't want to mess that up, so we'll figure that out real quick. All right, so I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but this is how I'm gonna do it. So we're just gonna stick this, get a good angle on it. We're gonna stick this down here and get that top mark. So that is where we are. So you're gonna go off of that, and I'm pretty sure that's more than 3/8, but we'll double check it just in case right now. So I actually have 1/2 inch gap, so we have plenty of space there. So I'm gonna install this. My vacuum gauge is gonna go down here on this board, and then this barb up here is just gonna connect to wherever I had it. So this can get pulled off, and then this hose is actually gonna go on here. And then, as the instructions say, you're just gonna set this in here like that for now, so you can get your vacuum gauge on there. So we'll do that real quick, and then I'll get back to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know how well this is gonna be, because there's not really much sticking down in there, but that's what the instructions say, so we'll just go with it, see how it goes. All right, so what we're gonna do is start the engine up, and you want the vacuum gauge to be on 0, and then you're gonna tighten this down clockwise slowly until the needle jumps off of 0, from typically between 2 and 7. So once that starts moving, then you're gonna turn it back slowly to counterclockwise until it goes back to 0, or nearly 0. And then from that point, you're gonna go counterclockwise 3/4 of a turn, and then that should be where your engine's set at. So basically, turn this clockwise until that jumps off 0, and then once it starts jumping off, you're gonna slowly go back until it goes back to 0, and then just so you get that fine line right there, and then you're gonna go 3/4 of a turn counterclockwise, and then that's where you want that to be. So I'm gonna do that real quick. The motor's really loud, so I'm just gonna do that off camera and then show you guys. All right, so if you saw, I tried filming me screwing that in, but just got hard with one hand because that was falling out. So I actually had to hold it in because there's like nothing grabbing. So I had to hold it down while I was doing that to get an accurate reading. But so mine actually jumped to 5 and it was sitting there steady. So then I slowly went counterclockwise until it jumped back to 0. And then I went 3/4 of a turn from that. And then I did show this, but it shows rev the engine quickly and aggressively to vacuum gaze. You could jump off 0 and then return back to 0. So you know that it's working properly. So I did that and everything seemed to be fine. Every time I revved, it would jump to 5 and then jump back down to 0. So everything seems to be working fine. So now I just have to remove the vacuum fitting. So I gotta remove this down here, put that little plug screw back in, then set that all the way in. And then it says go on a test drive and determine if it needs any adjustments. So I'm gonna do that real quick, put that in, we'll go for a test drive and see how it works. So far, everything seems normal. We'll accelerate a little bit. Everything seems fine so far. So I'll just drive around a little bit, go back, see how it goes. So I got that all done. And see, I actually didn't even pay attention to this. I was thinking about it because it looked right, but it says valve is set this way when shipped. So before I even turned it in, it was already 10 turns out. But I guess it's better to just check it anyways, just in case it moved. But so I got that done. Now we're gonna go down to the idle and turn the idle screw clockwise until lightly seated. And then use the manifold vacuum reading previously determined, selected the tuning method. So that's when, so we're gonna turn the idle screw until it's lightly seated, and then we're gonna go off of our vacuum reading, which was like 12 or 13. And then we're gonna go down to my cubic inch 350, and then that's when we're gonna turn that. So we're gonna turn that counterclockwise 1.5 turns. So let me do that real quick and then we'll move down. So driving it, everything seemed to be fine. It actually seemed like it accelerated a lot smoother too. So I tried to clean this up the best I could before the drive. I don't see any extra oil from the looks of it. I'm gonna have to check that over time, see if it builds up again, but I'm gonna vacuum test it one more time just to make sure everything's good. But I mean, it seemed like it ran great. No funny idle or anything. Seemed really good, so I don't know. Looks like it might have done the trick. Hopefully it fixes that oil leak. I didn't smell any oil, so we'll see. Hopefully it does the trick because it's not cheap, but we'll see. I'll give you guys an update in a couple weeks maybe, probably on the Instagram, so make sure you stay tuned on the Instagram. Also, I did a poll a couple days ago. A lot of people said they wanted to see some builds on that Model A. So we'll have some videos of that coming soon probably. Just a little bit more stuff I want to do to that for this truck. And then I gotta wait for a couple things for that car. So then we'll get started on that a little bit, switch up with videos so you're not just getting just the truck. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and go follow this truck's Instagram page and also the channel's Instagram page. Both links will be down in the description. Also, I'll leave the link down to that PCV valve. So if anyone's interested in it, you guys can go check it out. Like I said, seems to be working really well. From what I know, it's a father and son business, and they're both really smart. So, well, thanks for watching.